upgrades. Yes, it's time to finish off the ICL Team Server, and what better way to do that than throw a few upgrades at it. We have some more system memory, one 5¼ inch floppy drive, sound card and VLB graphics card, and rather importantly we have some new cache, because if you remember, this thing still has a fault with its cache memory. If we start the machine up, you can see that it counts its system memory, 16 megabytes of that. There's our 384 of shadow RAM, and then cache memory error. There should be 256k of L2 cache on the CPU card, but it doesn't work. Now, as you can see, it gets beyond the error and does boot into DOS. And despite the fact that it has that problem, the machine works fine. The DOS benchmark pack from Phil's computer lab, let's run the PC player benchmark just. I'm betting that the problem we have with the cache is bad cache chips. I have new ones here, but I thought it would also be interesting just to quickly benchmark the performance of the system now compared to what it will be like when we hopefully fix the cache problem. So PC player benchmark gets an average of 8.3 frames per second, running at a resolution of 320 by 200. And when we run the 3D bench as well, let's run option 2, which is 3D bench for faster PCs. And that gives us an average of 27.7 frames per second. So let's open it up, pull out the CPU card, and see if we can sort out the cache problem. You do really have to strip this right down just to get the CPU card out. But there it is. There is the cache. What in here is faulty? So in a comment on the last video, it was suggested that we can use our TL866 to figure out what's bad. This thing can supposedly test memory chips, so let's see what it says. We'll start with this one, and then if we load up the TL866 Plus software, in the chip selection we are looking for the SRAM option, standard SRAM. These are 1-bit by 256k, so let's go for the 61256. Select that and test. Well, according to this, that one is normal. What we call that one good. Let me test the rest of them. And so do we have our first problem? Address bus open circuit test error. Make sure there's no bent pins or anything. No. Just try and reset this again. No, it doesn't like this one. Potentially a bad chip. And is that another one? Same problem? Or well, more or less the same problem. That one starts with a number 3. So is that address bus 3? Is open circuit on this one, whereas this one, it was a 4. Is that address bus 4? That's faulty on that chip. So of the 9 chips that we removed, 7 are good and 2 are bad. In fact, of those 9, those 4 in that position, those are bank 0. The 4 here, that is bank 1. And this 9th one, that is the tag RAM. Now it's the job of the tag RAM to essentially keep a list of everything that is stored in the cache. And in this instance anyway, the tag RAM is just another one of the same chips. There is a 10th chip here though. This one, this is a 64K by 1 byte chip. Part number P4C 187-15PC. Now, as I said, 64K by 1 bit, but we cannot unfortunately test that within the TL866. This thing does have an option for a 1-bit 64K SRAM, but it's using a different pinout than what's on this. So we can't test it, but I think this might be bad. This is the dirty bit chip. And the purpose of the dirty bit, much like the tag RAM, is again to keep track of everything going on in the main cache, but the dirty bit highlights any data stored in here that has been updated but not yet written back to the main system storage. So why do I think this might be bad? Well, if you remember last time, we did try a single bank of cache and it still wouldn't work. In fact, I tried more or less every combination of these chips in a single bank and it wouldn't work. There only are 2 bad, so we definitely have more than enough chips here to make a single bank work, but we always would have had to have this chip working. We've never been able to get the cache to work, so I think this is bad. We do have plenty of spares though. I got 10 replacement cache chips and I had to go get 5 replacement 30-bit chips. I couldn't buy just a single one, had to get these 5, and these had to come from AliExpress. So it was waiting on the arrival of these that held up everything, that held up getting back to the ICL to finish it off. Those took quite a while to get here, but we'll stick that in there, stick the new 30-bit chip in there. Let's try and reuse our 7 known good cache chips, and then we'll take 2 more out of here. Right, here we go. Is it going to work? So counting up its base memory again. Let's see, 256K. Oh yes, yes, it's working. 256K cache RAM. Fantastic. If we go into Phil's DOS benchmark pack again, we can run cache check, option T, and that confirms it for us. L1 cache is 8K, that is on the CPU. L2 cache 256K, so our cache is up and running. Does it in any way though improve our benchmark scores? PC player benchmark. Yep, that's definitely a little bit faster. On 3D bench, equally that is faster as well. But you know what we're going to have to try? Let's put this 30-bit chip back in, because I want to know if this works or doesn't. If we put this back in and we get the cache memory error, well, pretty safe to assume that this is bad. So there's our system memory counting up. 16 megabytes. And this time it's not doing anything. The system seems to have crashed. That's weird. Yep, the system has definitely crashed. Let's just try it 1 power cycle. Yep, it is not working. Let's just put this one back in again, the new chip. Hopefully it works again. And yeah, it is now fine. So this must be bad. If we jump into the system's BIOS, into the advanced configuration, there is one option here that we might be able to get a bit more performance out of it. The cache burst read wait state. It's currently set to 3222, which is the slowest option for it. We can set it to 2111, being the quickest. It is set to write back cache. That's quicker than write buffer, isn't it? Write buffer would be the same as write through. I'm fairly sure it is. But let's try this. Does that get us any improvement on our 2 benchmarks? PC player first. It was 9 point something last time, wasn't it? And okay, 9.7. I think that's slightly faster. Not a lot in it though. What about on the 3D bench? Yep, that one is definitely faster because it was 29 point something. Okay, just slightly, 30.3 now, but it has made a slight improvement. If we run cache check again, because not only does it tell you how much cache you have, it does tell you how fast it is. Of course, I can't remember what it scored last time, but once this test completes, I'll stick the two results on the screen. So how about the rest of those upgrades? Well, this tape drive, this is coming out and it's going to be replaced with a 5¼ inch floppy drive. Let's upgrade the system RAM. We're going to take that one 16 meg stick out, and I have 4 matching 8 meg sticks. So that makes 32 megabytes of FPM parity RAM. We'll take out the VGA card. I am going to put the sound card into this bottom slot. And for that we are going with one of my favorites. This is the ESS audio drive, the ES1868F. This is a fantastic Sound Blaster clone. Phil's Computer Lab did a review of this card a few years ago, and he concluded pretty much the same thing. It is one of the best. But since we have removed our Cirrus Logic VGA card, we need to put something else in there. That is in here. I need to say a big thank you to the Goldfish from Goldfish on Games, because he very kindly donated this lovely Cirrus Logic VLB card. How about that for a coincidence? The main chip on here, Cirrus Logic CL GD542880QCA, and the main chip on the one that we just removed, it is exactly the same part. So this will be quite interesting, won't it? Both these cards have 1 megabyte of RAM on them. Which one will be faster? Will we see any improvement when we switch out to the VLB card? Now, I'm sure, as you'll remember from before, the motherboard in here, these slots, they might look like ISA, but these are eISA. These are 32-bit slots. But the only eISA card that we have in here is the SCSI card. Now, I did take a look to see what else is out there. And other than SCSI controllers, the vast majority of the other bits and pieces are just network cards. This card that is in here is just ISA, 10BASE-T, and that will be fine for all I need. I don't really see the point in going to the expenditure of putting an eISA network card in here. You can get an eISA VGA card, and that would be pretty cool to have. It would be pretty cool to benchmark that against the VLB VGA card. But those things command quite a bit of money. So for now, we'll just stick with ISA network, VLB graphics, eISA SCSI, and ISA sound. I don't think there is such a thing as an eISA sound card. I did have a look and nothing came up. But equally, I'm sure if something does exist, much like the eISA VGA card, well, it probably costs a fortune. We have changed quite a bit of this, but will it still work? Well, yeah, still posts. That's a good thing. Counting up the RAM, there's the first 8. 16. 16? We should have 32. Why is it only showing 16 meg of RAM? Both floppy drives did seek though, so that's a plus. Let's jump into the BIOS. And it is only showing 16 meg of RAM. Why is it doing that? Maybe what we need to do is run that eISA configuration utility. Well, this is interesting. It seems that the change in hardware has resulted in this thing completely forgetting all its eISA settings because it's no longer even booting to the SCSI drive. I had to reintroduce the CF card on the IDE slot, and with that we can boot the DOS and run this extended ISA configuration utility. So let's go into our system settings here, because I want to try and sort out that memory issue. So 640K base, that's right. Between 4 and 16 meg extended. Well, it's only set to 4 meg extended here, so let's change that. And to be honest, I'm not actually sure what we need to change that to. 16 meg extended with 1516 system used. What does that mean? It's definitely not going to be that bottom one, because that is for the Pentium only. There is a Pentium version of this machine, or well, a Pentium CPU card. Let's select this one. And then between 16 and 64 meg, press Ctrl R to add the memory. Memory size 16 megabytes. How do we add the additional RAM? Value between 0 and 4 megabytes in increments of 4. Do we just type in a number? Nope. Right, I've got one of the new memory sticks in there, and it's counted that as 8 meg. So why, when 4 of them are installed, is it only counting 16? What is going on? What happens if we put another one in? So this should be 16 meg of RAM. And still just 8. Is this maybe faulty? Let's try it again. And now it's only counting 4 meg. What is going on? I've tried Googling the part number on this, and it's definitely an 8 meg stick. But the only thing I can think is that these aren't compatible with this board. I think for now, we'll just go back to this one, because at least we know that 16 meg module works without any issue. And just checking the manual for our motherboard, this is it here. Yes, that's an Acer J3, but it's the same board. If we look down here at the DRAM configuration table, well, it seems like our machine actually doesn't support 8 meg memory modules. All it supports is 4 meg or 16 meg. So with these things, it just doesn't know what it's doing. And that is confirmed here on this table. You see, size 4 meg, bank 0, 1M by 36, that's a 4 meg module. For 8 meg though, well, it's 2 of those modules installed in bank 0 and 1. For 16 meg, it can either be 4 of those modules or a 4M by 36, which itself is a single 16 meg module. There was no mention here of 2M by 36, which is what these are. That would be an 8 meg module. And indeed, if you look down this table to 32 megabytes, the recommended configuration for that is 2 4M by 36 to 16 meg modules. Anybody have any need for 8 meg FPM parity RAM? Because I've got 4 sticks of it, going cheap. Well, it looks like we just have 16 meg of RAM then. So let's just go into our system menu and verify. System has been correctly configured. Exit. So let's jump into the DOS benchmark pack, because I'm dying to know if that VLB card is any faster than its ISA counterpart. PC player benchmark. Previously we got a result of 9.7. And yeah, it is faster. 10.4. It's just not a lot faster. I wonder would it help if we increase the VRAM on the VLB card from 1 meg to 2 meg. I'm not sure I have the correct chips for it. I'll have a look, but if not, we can always come back to that at some point in the future. But yeah, VLB is slightly faster than ISA. What about 3D Bench? We got a result of 30.3 from this last time. And wow, that is significantly faster now. 40.8. That's more what I would have expected to see, to be honest with you, because we are going from a 16-bit ISA bus to a 32-bit VLB bus. I did find extra chips for the VLB card. They're just 4-bit by 256K. I have a load of those actually from a scrap A500 Plus motherboard. But put them in there. Yes, it has brought this card up to 2 meg. It hasn't made a button of difference to those benchmark results. But synthetic benchmarks are all well and good. How does the machine perform though in a real world scenario? Let's play a game. And one pretty taxing game for a 46 DX266 has to be Duke Nukem 3D. Never ceases to make me smile. You gotta love that. That is pretty smooth. That is definitely better than my other 46 rig. It also has VLB graphics, but it is running Cirrus 46 DX266, not the genuine Intel. Let's jump into the game. Because if we type DN rate, that gives us the frame rate. And 15, 16 frames per second. It doesn't sound like a lot these days, but back when this game was new, back in the mid-90s, it was more than enough. And hopefully, as you can see by this, the game is very playable. In fact, now that we're down here in the city, the frame rate has increased ever so slightly again. This is very much playable. And it'd be even easier if I wasn't just using a keyboard. So yeah, a couple of little stutters, but for the most part, this is flying along. What about trying one of the VISA video modes? This is going to crawl, there's no way this machine can do it, but curiosity has got the better of me. 640 by 480. I would say if we get 5 frames per second, we'll be doing really well. And yeah, it's slow. In fact, it's running so slow, I can't even type in the code to get the frames per second on screen. Oh, there we are. We finally got it up. But it's a tiny little number and I can't really make it out. Frame rate is definitely slow though. What's that? Is that actually a 5 that is showing in the corner? It might be. But I suppose if you were stuck, you maybe could play it like this. Okay, probably not. You would just play it at 320 by 200, wouldn't you? But I dare say our ICL, with a modest upgrade to the CPU, probably could handle this game in this resolution. Now if we swapped out that chip for a DX4 100, I think this would run acceptable anyway. And if we could find that Pentium CPU card, well, this would be flying along. I fully expect it to run Doom 2 without any problems. And yeah, this is fine. Chainsaw. You have to love it. And yeah, the game runs fine, as you would expect of course, because our system spec here of the ICL, well, it more than meets the system requirements for this title. I don't have it installed here as a game, but if we go back to the DOS benchmarks, well, there is the Quake time demo. That's included within the DOS benchmark pack. We are really pushing our luck with this one, but I'm just curious to see what sort of frame rate it does achieve. This game needs a Pentium to be able to run at any acceptable frame rate. Although so far that actually doesn't look as bad as I was expecting. I was expecting a slideshow here. Yeah, that's slowing down more to what I would have expected. But let's just let this run its course to see what result it gives us. And there we are, 7.3 frames per second. So yeah, not exactly quick, but definitely not as bad as I thought it would be. I wouldn't consider that playable now. I do think you need to be getting to at least that sort of 15 FPS, so twice what we're seeing here anyway. You need to get up to those figures, similar to what we've seen in Duke when we ran that. But again, I think with a modest CPU upgrade, maybe to a DX4 or one of the AMD 486s, you know, the 5x86, technically a 486 still, one of those chips, and I think it would run Quake here with no problems whatsoever. Jumping into the game, because you can actually launch the game here. You certainly get into the first level anyway. I don't know how much of this Phil stripped out when he was creating his DOS benchmark pack. And it's certainly playable in sections. You can feel that slow frame rate, but it's not bad considering the spec of computer it is running on. Didn't quite make that jump. I suspect when we go down here into the larger open arena, the frame rate is going to tank, and yeah, that is getting slow. I reduce the screen size way down. Well, yeah, it is more playable. I suppose you could play it like this on your 486 DX266 ICL server. I'm sure some people probably did play it like this back in the day when this game was first released. And so for the last game today, let's take a look at one of my favourites, Transport Tycoon Deluxe. I have sunk countless hours into this game, and even its modern re-implementation OpenTTD. This is one of my all-time favourites. And the reason that I want to test it really is that on my other 486, this game is just about playable, but it does have quite a bit of slowdown, especially when you're scrolling the map. I'm just keen to see how it stacks up here. Because so far in the testing, this machine is definitely faster than my other one. Yeah, okay, there's a little bit of slowness there, but it is nowhere near as bad. One thing I would actually like to do is to benchmark the two 486 systems against each other, just to find out exactly how much faster the ICL is when compared to the cheaper system, the more budget system, because that other machine, it is running a PC chips motherboard, and it does have a Cirrus processor. The key to this game is making money. And the best way to make money in this game is with trains. Now granted, moving passengers here is itself probably not the best option. The best way to make money at the start of the game is to move goods. But I just want to build something quickly, so let's create a little rail network here between these two towns. We need to drop a train depot, we'll stick that there, and we'll get ourselves a train. Always best to pick this middle one here, just when you're starting out. That train is faster, but it's also quite a bit more expensive. And that's that one done. That will pretty much look after itself. 14 passengers and 3 bags of meal waiting there on our train. We'll take them up to this station, pick up those passengers, take them back, and we'll get paid. Come on. £165. The running costs for this train are £2,637 per year. It will more than make that up from the money moving passengers. That is how you beat this game. But I have to turn it off or I will be here for hours. Well, I think we'll just leave it at that. I'm pretty happy with how this machine has turned out. I think it is performing really well. I was actually worried that with this being a server, its actual performance in real world games and things like that wouldn't be that good. But so far in the little testing that we've done, this thing is absolutely flying. That VLB card as well from the Goldfish, and he donated to me. It is fantastic. Thank you so much for that. It is absolutely awesome in this machine. It has made all the difference to the VGA performance. Make sure you go check out his channel. He does excellent game reviews. I'll leave a link to it in the video's description. It's a bit of a shame that the RAM I bought, well, it's just not compatible with that motherboard. In fact, I've cut it out of the video, but when I was trying to run it on that RAM, this thing was incredibly unstable. Random crashes all over the place. And I kept losing those EISA settings. I actually thought that the real-time clock battery was maybe finally on its way out, but no, it's something to do with that RAM. It was just screwing it up completely. After going back to the other 16 meg stick, it has been rock solid and there's been no issue with retention of those settings. So definitely funny goings on there. This thing will not work with 8 meg sticks. It's a shame I didn't read that manual before actually going and buying those. But I may try and get another 16 meg module anyway, stick it in there beside the one that we have, and 32 meg of RAM, that's where I was trying to get to. That's what I think you would call the sweet spot for a 486. I know some people will be a bit disappointed that I haven't swapped the BIOS back to the original ICL one. We're still running the Acer BIOS in here, but it is exactly the same motherboard between the Acer and the ICL. In fact, that motherboard might also have been used in an apricot system. I can't be 100% sure of that though. But the BIOS that we have here is totally compatible with it. And more importantly, that Acer BIOS has far more in the way of options in it when compared to the original ICL one. In that ICL one, we had no means of setting memory timings or anything like that. So I think I would rather run the Acer BIOS that we are doing here. And I suppose the last issue then, just to touch on it, is the case itself. And this door, well, that's still broken. I still am trying to source the parts that I need to repair it. The case itself is actually rusted a little bit. I'm not sure if you'll be able to make it out or not, but there is a point there. I've tried to rub it down and there's a couple of points on the side of the case. So what I might look at doing is painting this, or maybe even wrapping this. Yes, to do that I will have to take the Team Server sticker off the side of it, but it is a little damaged anyway, that sticker, so it would be no great loss. Should I go all LGR and wrap this thing in wood grain? If you have any thoughts about what I should do with it, please let me know. But that is going to be it for today. So thanks very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed what you've seen. If you did, I would appreciate a thumbs up. Why not hit subscribe if you haven't done so already? There's still plenty more yet to come here on CRG, and I'll see you next time.